Hi, everyone. I'm writing a little message on the chat room. So if anybody wants to say hello, if you have access to the chat room and you want to just say hello, where you're from, where you're located, that would be lovely. And if you don't want to, that's totally fine. So welcome. My name is Muriel Jaouich. I actually teach for True North Insight, and So I teach in French and English. I was trained by True North Insight, and I have a meditation practice that I have been cultivating, I'd say, for the last 12 years. Actually, more than that. Actually, more like 15 years. So I will offer a guided meditation for the next half hour or so. Just some guidelines. If you want to be laying down, that's completely fine, completely welcome. So just to take a position in which chair, you can be seated on a chair or standing, or you can also be seated on a cushion. Let me say hi to Marimo and Melanie. Thanks for being there too. All right. So also in this practice, if at any point you want to keep your eyes open, that's completely fine. So you can even alternate from having your eyes closed to opening them, happening right in this moment. And so it actually helps me somehow see through the trance of, of the mind and of the proliferation in the mind or the heart, or whatever is actually kind of taking over. Right. So we can really simply, naturally settle into our position or posture. I'm going to ring the bowl just to kind of start us off once, and then I'll ring it 3 times when we're done. So we can just allow ourselves to receive the sound. Notice that hearing is happening. We can start by taking a few deep breaths, but a few conscious deep breaths. So as we breathe in, we become, particularly interested in the breathing in, the in breath, following even the in breath from the beginning, middle to the end of the in breath. And as you breathe out, again, just noticing the cycle of the out breath. And continuing with another in breath, and following the out breath. And see if you can notice the end also of the out breath, or the end of the in breath. So kind of noticing this cycle, breathing in, breathing out. So in the next few minutes, we can just really allow ourselves to rest. That we don't need to produce anything. We don't need to produce thoughts. We don't need to perform or produce any mental states, and just allow ourselves to be in a receptive mode. Kind of even emotions that may appear to our consciousness, sensations in the body, receive sounds, the sound of this voice, or there may be some background sounds where you're seated or where you're laying down. So again, just kind of noticing, not going to words, but just really settling into our position and noticing, receiving. So noticing experience, phenomena, just kind of moment to moment, what is being revealed in the body, in the heart, in the mind. Noticing breathing is happening naturally, or maybe the breathing is more agitated or feeling like shaky. So just noticing that, knowing the quality of our breathing. So inviting a curiosity, inviting this curiosity to become really engaged in our practice. Become really interested in noticing what is appearing and also what is disappearing. There may be sounds appearing, and we may notice the sounds disappearing. And maybe in this moment, you're noticing an inner state or a mood, or maybe you're noticing impatience or boredom or joy, calm or anxiety. So, again, just seeing if it's possible to simply notice this, not not rigidifying around it, not attaching ourselves to these states. And we can also use a mental note, in our mind saying, impatience or anxiety or sadness or joy, and seeing if we can just come close to this without just noticing what is being revealed in this moment. And continuing, to come to our anchor, whether it's our breath or sensations in the body or just this presence. So just this idea of not resisting what is being revealed, not pushing away, but really allowing it to somehow be known. Maybe it's even possible to notice the fluctuation of this state or this mood. There are moments where it feels very, very intense. And then maybe there is a moment where there's the capacity to notice that it's actually diminished in its intensity. So we're developing this capacity to not prefer one state or another, not prefer what is pleasant or what is unpleasant or even neutral, but simply becoming aware of what is there. So kind of slowly building this stability of our minds and hearts to come in contact with what is revealed, what is known. So maybe in this moment, noticing a lot of, maybe there's noticing that the mind is lost in, I was going to say translation, but is lost in our thoughts and fantasizing and worrying. And so again, this is really simply a moment to, again, just kind of refresh our capacity to meet or to see or to know what is, in which way we are occupied. So as we sit and kind of develop this formal practice, we are really developing our capacity to be with what is revealed in the heart, in the mind. So really just helping us become aware of all of these visitors, we can say, and seeing if it's possible to befriend these visitors. And noticing again and again that they are constantly changing, that there's movement, noticing kind of the flickering aspect of experience changing from moment to moment. And if in our own experience, what is being noticed is actually not so much a moment to moment experience, but more a continuity of something really, uneaseful, more painful. And so seeing if there's the possibility to allow that also to be seen. And maybe it's actually really felt in the body, and it might not be so um, comfortable, obviously, or so maybe there's the possibility to reach out and put our hands on our hearts or on our stomach, or wherever we can accompany ourselves as we go through this kind of motion, of difficult experience. And when I say motion, it's not to diminish the experience, but just to kind of slowly be able to see through these conditioned, like deeply conditioned experiences that arise, and arise and arise. And then there's maybe this moment where we can see through that there is a moment of release. I often like sometimes when there are moments in my practice where it feels very tight and contracted and feeling, completely overwhelmed or really like kind of occupied. I often like this feeling, or this term, sorry. I try to, sometimes I invite this image of water, this kind of the sensation of fluidity, and just kind of inviting water to kind of wash through the intensity. So maybe noticing for yourself with your own creativity, kind of seeing what are the ways that you can actually accompany yourself in your practice in these moments where it feels particularly tight. And so developing this autonomy, this capacity to, yeah, to have autonomy. One of my teachers, Daryl Lynn Ross, has often encouraged me to stand in the fire, to know that I can stand in the fire. And sometimes there are moments in my practice where I definitely felt that strong image of really standing in the fire. And she also referred to us being kind of spiritual warriors in a context of standing in the fire and wanting to share maybe this, as it has helped me in some of these, very fiery moments, we can say, or more intense just to know that we can stand, in the fire. And also to know that this practice is a practice of, to remind ourselves, this is a practice of courage as we sit, with ourselves and all that appears, and all that we meet. And to also kind of know there is for me, such a deep respect that I have with my capacity to come and sit here and to meet what is here, as I meet all of these deeply conditioned phenomena that appear. So a lot of respect, humility, and courage. So to actually offer myself also some deep appreciation for showing up to this being, to this psyche, to this heart in this body, knowing that it's not easy at all. So to really find the space to offer yourself again just appreciation for being here, if that's possible or accessible. Maybe we can take also this moment to simply come back to just the breath. Again, noticing just maybe again the beginning, the middle, the end of your in breath. And then noticing the whole beginning, middle, end of your out breath. Or maybe your practice is in this moment simply knowing the contact of the hands on your legs, or the hands touching one another. So just noticing the felt sense there. So wherever your anchor is, noticing if you can really gently come back to that anchor. And also knowing that the process in this practice is really about this process of kind of returning. So we get lost in our thoughts and all kinds of ideas. There's proliferation. And so we wake up and we return to our anchor, to becoming, really particularly attentive to where we have, whether it's the hands or the sounds or our breath, and to really be gentle, with this coming back, with this returning. Because in this moment, there is this capacity, we can really take note or that we have come out of our trance. And that is a moment of waking up. And that's beautiful. Maybe also we can kind of check in with attitude in the mind right now. Is there, as we slowly kind of will end our practice, if we can let go of any expectation of how our practice is, should be, should have been, and seeing if we can really completely just meet this moment completely anew, completely fresh, letting go of any ways, we'll letting go of any ways that we may have constructed an idea of how this noon practice should have been or should be. And simply coming into like this immediate contact with just the breathing, just the sensations, and just really letting go of this mind or heart or, whatever is trying to construct something. And again, just coming back to something that is really immediate, almost raw, we could say. Thank you. Merci. Alors, je voulais vous inviter English. I'm going to invite you that this evening there is a teaching, and we'll probably put it on Facebook. There's another sitting with Jill Davy. I believe it's at 7:30. And I'm also going to teach Oh, there's the Queer Sangha also today between 5 and 7, which is not on YouTube, which is on Zoom. And this information is on her website, truenorthinside.org. And also, I'm teaching tomorrow. I think it's at 2 or 3. I can't remember anymore. In French. But yeah, so take care of yourselves, and thank you for showing up. Thank you so much.